Tonight, California's wildfires explode. The late developments as we come on the air tonight with more than 45,000 acres now burned. Millions are under threat of fires, and red flag weather poses a major risk. We have all the fast-moving updates. Plus,
so this is my window.
Concrete stones in front of your windows?
Yes. So if they shoot, it will not get in.
So is that to protect yourself from the settlers?
From the settlers and the soldiers.
As Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets with U.S. leaders, we're in the West Bank, reporting on the alleged human rights abuses being carried out, and take a deep look at what life under Israeli occupation is like for those who are there. And it just feels like on your watch,
yes,
it's especially busy. But do you feel that?
Yes, I do. Folks who have been here for quite some time say that they've never really seen it quite like this before.
There are more than 50 ongoing conflicts worldwide. Tonight we go behind the scenes at the United Nations and sit down with its president to discuss how he's trying to bring peace on a global scale. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more, but we begin tonight with the explosive wildfires in California, now forcing thousands to evacuate. Tonight, the Park Fire is burning out of control about 100 miles north of Sacramento. It's the biggest wildfire so far this year, and police say it was arson. The fire near Chico has already burned about 110 square miles. High winds have fueled the flames, and an unknown number of homes have already been destroyed. Take a look at this moment as one home explodes. Firefighters say it could not be saved. And this time-lapse video of a fire as it takes over a communications tower, knocking the camera offline. Tonight, more than 4,000 evacuated residents are waiting for word that they can return home. One witness says that she saw a man set this car on fire and roll it down a hill. Authorities have already made an arrest. The forecast currently does not favor the firefighters, and it could be a long night ahead. Arcana Whitworth leads us off near Chico.
Tonight, homes exploding in flames as firefighters north of Sacramento desperately battle a monster inferno. The Park Fire.
We're not cut off yet, we're good, but the heat is insane.
Outside the town of Cohasset, terrifying scenes on the tiny town's main road.
I'm completely surrounded right now, so I'm actually gonna bone out of here and see if I can get ahead of this thing, because I'm gonna end up getting caught.
Multiple large homes and structures engulfed, gas tanks violently flaring as high as the trees. Nearly 4,000 fleeing their homes, but some were trapped, forced to shelter in place.
We've got approximately 100 vehicles that are sheltering at the radio towers on Cohasset Road with fire department personnel.
Flames breaking out Wednesday afternoon in a park outside of Chico, California, burning 4,000 acres an hour. By daybreak, scorching more than 70,000 acres and an unknown number of homes.
This fire grew very, very quickly. It got really big, really fast.
How hard is that on your firefighters when something goes like that?
It is. It presents a lot of different challenges.
The fire deliberately set, according to authorities who are aware of this video posted to TikTok by someone who says they saw it happen.
I watched the guy blow up his car and then put it in neutral and roll it down the hill and take off like nothing happened.
Police arresting a 42-year-old man and say this is the vehicle pushed down the embankment that started the fire.
So, Linsey, right now, the sky is making it almost pitch black in here. It is incredibly ominous, and you're seeing how the wind is moving this fire. Right now, it is right over that ridgeline there. Oh, and you're starting to see the flames pop up from behind the trees. This is incredibly concerning for firefighters because this fire is moving really fast. They actually had to open up logging roads even for people to be able to evacuate. So now, Linsey, the major concern is you can see those flames back there. They're trying to cut some containment lines around those flames because now, Linsey, we're in a red flag warning and temperatures are exceeding 100 degrees.
Just unbelievable images there. Kana, thank you. Now to the race for the White House. Kamala Harris campaigned in Houston today, firing up educators there. She had a clear message for Donald Trump and his extreme allies saying, bring it on. ABC's Selena Wang has that story tonight.
Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris accepting the endorsement of the American Federation of Teachers in Houston, sounding her campaign's defining theme that this election is a fight for freedom.
In this moment, we are in a fight for our most fundamental freedoms. And to this room of leaders, I say, bring it on.
Harris sharpening her attacks on Donald Trump as an enemy of the middle class.
Donald Trump and his extreme allies want to take our nation back to failed trickle-down economic policies, back to union busting, back to tax breaks for billionaires.
Trump, who had counted on running against Joe Biden, now testing new attack lines on Harris, whose name he continues to mispronounce.
This November, the American people are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala, you've done a terrible job.
Trump abandoning his pledge post-assassination attempt to unite the country.
When you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice. You really can't be. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay?
But tonight, new scrutiny for Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, and his 2021 comments disparaging Harris for not having children.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children.
Tonight, actress Jennifer Aniston sharing Vance's comments with her 44 million Instagram followers, writing, "I truly can't believe this is coming from a potential VP of the United States." And the former wife of Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, coming to her defense, noting that Harris co-parents their 2 children. Kirsten Emhoff writing, "For over 10 years since Cole and Ella were teenagers, Kamala has been a co-parent with Doug and I. She is loving, nurturing, fiercely protective, and always present. I love our blended family and am grateful to have her in it." Ella Emhoff adding, "How can you be childless when you have cutie pie kids like Cole and I? I love my 3 parents." And tonight, the Harris campaign highlighting Vance's statements suggesting that parents should be given extra votes in elections.
When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality. If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country, maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice. Well, doesn't this mean that non-parents don't have as much of a voice as parents? Doesn't this mean that parents get a bigger say in how our democracy functions? Yes, absolutely.
Tonight, Trump standing by Vance.
He's for the worker. No, he's great. He's doing a great job, and he's been very well received.
As Harris says she's ready to meet Trump face-to-face, accepting the September 10th debate on ABC News that Trump and President Biden had already agreed to.
I'm ready, and I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race on a debate stage, and so I'm ready. Let's go.
Our thanks to Selena for that. Now to the high-stakes meeting today between President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It comes on the heels of the president's Oval Office address, where he told Americans he's committed to negotiating a ceasefire in Gaza and a hostage return before he leaves office. ABC's Mary Bruce is at the White House.
Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris, the presumptive Democratic nominee, meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House.
Welcome, Mr. Prime Minister, and I look forward to our conversation. We have lots to talk about.
Face-to-face amid growing tension in recent weeks over Netanyahu's handling of the war, the administration urging the Prime Minister to accept the ceasefire deal on the table and bring the remaining hostages home. Moments ago, the Vice President coming before cameras.
I've said it many times, but it bears repeating. Israel has a right to defend itself, and how it does so matters.
Earlier, the Prime Minister also sitting down with President Biden in the Oval Office.
I think we should get to it.
Nearly 10 months into this war, and with the relationship between the leaders strained, Netanyahu praising Biden for his support.
So from a proud Jewish Zionist to a proud Irish-American Zionist, I want to thank you for 50 years of public service and 50 years of support for the State of Israel.
The White House tonight says the ceasefire deal is closable. President Biden making it a top priority of his remaining months in office.
And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war.
It's been 2 months since the president shared publicly the details of the three-part proposal to bring home the hostages and end the war. Today's meeting's coming as overnight Israeli forces recovered from Gaza the bodies of 5 hostages killed in the October 7th attack. Also at the White House today, the families of Americans being held hostage, sitting down with the president and prime minister.
We met today.
Jonathan Dekelhen, whose son, 35-year-old Sagi, is still being held by Hamas, describing their discussion as productive and honest.
We got absolute commitment from the Biden administration and from Prime Minister Netanyahu that they understand the urgency of this moment now, to waste no time and to complete this deal as it currently stands with as little change as humanly possible.
Mary Bruce reporting. Joining us now is President Obama's former national security advisor and U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Susan Rice. We know you also advised President Biden as well. Have worn a lot of hats. We thank you so much for your time, Ambassador.
Good to be with you.
It's been a whirlwind few days for the Democratic Party and country at large, really. We heard from Joe Biden last night saying it was time to pass the torch to the next generation. He called Kamala Harris experienced, tough, and capable. How would you describe her?
All of those terms absolutely apply. She's tough, she's smart, she's capable, she's compassionate, and she's got a great vision for where we need to take this country. So she's the whole package.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has urged his party to not refer to the vice president as a DEI hire or make her gender or race a campaign issue. What does it say about where this country is right now that we're having this conversation?
Well, it seems like a lot of people in the Republican Party, and including their ticket, can't help themselves, can't help but refrain from attacks that are demeaning and denigrating. Linsey, I think as you and I both know, when you call a person a DEI hire, you're essentially saying that whether you're a woman of any background, a person of color, somebody who is LGBTQ, or somebody with a disability, or somebody who has served our country as a veteran, or an immigrant, any number of people who come from backgrounds other than the most traditional white male Christian background, they are somehow not meritorious if and when they achieve a position of success or leadership. It's incredibly denigrating and dehumanizing, and it's absolutely false. Many of us are extremely well prepared, well educated, experienced, and enormously capable, and Kamala Harris is among them. And when you say that to what amounts to the vast majority of Americans, that if they do not, fall into a very limited category, they're a religious minority, whatever it might be, and they achieve success, it's not success that they've earned. And this is an incredibly pernicious line of thinking, and it's emblematic, in my judgment, of really what this campaign is about. On one side, on the Democratic side, we are eager to look to the future and envision a country where everybody has a stake and a share and an opportunity, regardless of who you are or where you come from. If you're a U.S. citizen, you should have a voice, you should have a vote, you should have an opportunity to improve yourself. Versus a vision on the other side, which is really, if you look at Project 2025 and what Trump and Vance have put forward, it's a vision that takes us backwards, not to a future of opportunity and democracy, but to a past where, frankly, in the 19th century, women and everybody else were subordinated to white Christian men. And that seems to be their vision when you look at Project 2025, banning abortion, banning contraception, in vitro fertilization, women back in the kitchen, children who we don't educate in public schools with adequate funding because we don't want them to learn and to be able to participate as active citizens in our society. That's Project 2025 and the Trump-Vance vision, and it's really turning us back generations to a place we haven't been and don't want to go.
Last night, we spoke to a Republican congressman about this. He refused to answer if VP Harris's race and gender should be off limits on the campaign trail. I'm curious, for you personally, you've had a long career in politics. Have you ever been accused of being a DEI hire?
Nobody's tried to say that to my face, but it's implicit in their denigration and dismissal of many of us who are women. Or minorities, or any other, category that they want to put down. So yes, I have experienced that, and obviously I find it offensive and absolutely unsubstantiated. And it's because, Linsey, they don't have anything better to say. They have no vision for this country except to divide us, to generate fear and hatred. They have no affirmative agenda. They're trying to run away from their own Project 2025, which is an explicit blueprint to take us back to a place far back in time that none of us lived in or can remember. And so they come at us on issues that are superficial, like one's race, like one's gender, rather than put forward a vision for where they want to take the country that they believe people can embrace, because the vision that they have is one that nobody embraces, and they even want to run away from themselves. So that's what this is about. They don't have anything. And by contrast, the Democrats have a hopeful, affirmative view of where they want to take the country. We want to preserve and strengthen our democracy. We want to create an America where everybody can not just get by, but get ahead. Where we work to eliminate child poverty and ensure that women retain the rights to control their bodies. I mean, it's a future where everybody has a stake. And that's what the difference is.
I hate to cut you off. We just have about a minute left, but do want to just get to this last point of, I know we mentioned initially you served in the UN under Obama. We recently had a chance to speak to UN President Dennis Francis and talked about some of the biggest issues facing the UN. And I just wanted to ask you what you feel are the biggest threats our world faces.
Well, Linsey, if you want me to do this in a minute, I'll try to be as quick as I can. I think the biggest threats we face are a Russia and a China that want to rewrite the world's international order so that autocracy prevails and freedom and democratic societies are at a disadvantage. We will not let that happen because the United States has the strongest group of allies and partners in the world. They share values, they share interests. That's what the strengthening and expansion of NATO is about, and our Asian allies and partners. But that's what's at stake most dramatically in the world as we speak.
Ambassador Susan Rice, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Linsey.
And you can watch our conversation with UN President Dennis Francis coming up in just a few minutes. The former deputy who fatally shot Sonia Massey, who was discharged for serious misconduct from the Army, that's according to new documents obtained by ABC. He served less than 2 years. The documents also reveal Sean Grayson was charged with 2 DUI offenses some 8 years ago. Grayson's attorney declined to comment. Grayson was fired from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office last week after he was indicted in Massey's killing. Body camera footage shows the 36-year-old mother of 2 being shot after she called 911. Grayson has entered a plea of not guilty. Now to the dramatic images off the coast of Alaska. For the first time, U.S. and Canadian fighter jets intercepting both Russian and Chinese bombers flying together. The incident is raising concerns about the growing cooperation between the two countries. Here's our Chief Global Affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz.
It was a bold, provocative, and unprecedented move, clearly meant to send a message to America. For the first time ever, Russia and China conducting joint patrol exercises in international airspace off the coast of Alaska and providing these videos to prove it. Launching in darkness from the same Russian base, 2 Chinese and 2 Russian unarmed but nuclear-capable strategic bombers aerially refueling over the Pacific as the U.S. military tracked them all the way. An array of armed American and Canadian fighter jets scrambling and then intercepting the bombers as they came within 200 miles of Alaska. This is the view from the U.S. aircraft provided by the Pentagon. This is the view from the Russian cockpit of the U.S. fighter jets and also the Chinese bombers.
It's the first time that we've seen these two countries fly together like that. They're always testing us, and that's no surprise to any of us.
The U.S. jets followed the Chinese and Russian aircraft for nearly an hour before the bombers returned to their bases. Pentagon officials say they were not surprised by the joint exercises, but the Russians and Chinese made no secret of this mission. They want to reinforce not only their military might, but the partnership that grows deeper every day. Lindsay?
Martha, thank you. Still much more to get to here on Prime tonight. But next, a slice of life under Israeli occupation in the West Bank city of Hebron, and the stories of alleged abuse at the hands of the IDF and right-wing settlers.
He came here with a gun. He was very happy to show his power. He went around, he pointed the gun, he said, I will shoot you whenever I want.
If you were coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different. On June 10th, 1985, New York Magazine published Hollywood's Brat Pack. I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. From then on, my career and the career of everyone who was involved was branded to the Brat Pack.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I've never talked to anybody about what that was like. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who was in the Brat Pack. Hey, Emilio Estevez. This is Andrew McCarthy calling you. Hey, Allie. Hey, Demi. Hey, Molly. Let's call Rob. Hello. Judd? Me? You around? You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack for years.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because you called me. It was time that we clear the air on a couple things.
I love your stuff, Bob. Hey, thank you. I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster. If you could have the Brat Pack name not exist, would you?
It really irritated me. They said, what's more important to you, the movie or your life? And I said,
the movie,
Andrew.
Have you talked to the others? The others, like, again, it feels like a cult or something.
Yeah. Why did we take it as an offense?
Well,
as opposed to like
a brat.
Because we were young.
We were afraid we were brats, you know. Are you in the Brat Pack?
I'm Brat Pack adjacent.
That's what I was saying.
I am not in the Brat Pack.
Crush on you back in the day?
You did not, Andrew. No, you did not.
Being in the Brat Pack not only changed all of our lives, it changed what entertainment is. I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
So what are you filming?
Oh, we're just doing this documentary.
What's it about?
Ancient history.
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead. Hang on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer. It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
Welcome back to ABC News Live Prime. The war in Gaza has now raged for nearly 10 months, and we focus tonight on life in the occupied West Bank, where Palestinians must navigate IDF checkpoints and frequent threats of violence from right-wing settlers. Since October 7th, IDF patrols and arrests have led at times to deadly clashes. In tonight's Prime Focus, Tom Sufi Burge reports from the occupied city of Hebron, where alleged IDF abuses have come to light.
Nice to meet you. Sabah khair.
Issa Amro is a Palestinian human rights activist living in Hebron in the West Bank with a sprawling view of the old city.
You have all of this for a reason, right?
Yes, yes.
This is protection.
It's the best view without the fence.
The fence is one of Amro's few protections. He says he's had run-ins with right-wing settlers, his neighbors, who threatened him.
And he came here with a gun. He was very happy to show his power. He went around, he pointed the gun, he said, I will shoot you whenever I want.
That incident allegedly happening just feet away from a military outpost.
In spite of the presence of the soldier, I was attacked many times.
And they do nothing about it?
They do nothing about it. I'm afraid during the night to stand here. I feel they may shoot me. They pointed the laser on my body. This is the Palestinian house.
ABC's Patrick Reevell first met Amro last year when the IDF had parts of Hebron under lockdown in light of the October 7 attacks.
Everything is closed, not only closed, fear. People are so afraid, so terrified about their safety. Many families left.
Once before, an Israeli soldier was caught on video, assaulting him, kicking him on the ground when he was with a journalist from The New Yorker.
Leave him!
The IDF jailed the soldier for 10 days. Since then, the tension and fear haven't let up. Amro says he's a target in his own home, and he's had to come up with alternative ways to try and find safety.
So this is my window.
Concrete stones in front of your windows?
Yes. So if they shoot, it will not get in.
So is that to protect yourself from the settlers?
From the settlers and the soldiers.
And the soldiers?
I see them the same now.
His own security cameras showed a soldier in November walking onto Amro's property, threatening him, he says, and stealing.
This is your property?
Yes, this is my house here. This is my yard. You see? He stole the GoPro. Then he told me that he will come to kill me on the night. Then the CCTV cameras, which was damaged by the soldiers, he stole them.
Part of Issa's struggle as a Palestinian living in the occupied West Bank can be encapsulated by what happened to him on October 7, when he says he was taken from his home and interrogated by soldiers for 10 hours.
This one, they used on October 7th to gag me, like this.
That very piece of cloth?
This one.
Right.
I'm keeping it as a souvenir, like it.
The Israeli military told us Mr. Amro had not filed any formal complaint of alleged violence by soldiers, and the IDF accused him of being involved in illegal disturbances in the area. Hebron remains one of the most restrictive cities in the West Bank. The IDF often limits access to certain roads in order to separate the more than 200,000 Palestinians who live there from the roughly 800 Israeli settlers with military outposts like these.
Did you get on with some of the local Palestinian people? Have a good relationship?
Not much.
No?
They don't trust me. I don't trust them.
Violence in the West Bank is the worst it's been in decades. Since Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7, the IDF says it's conducted over 200 operations in the West Bank, eliminating over 500 terrorists and claiming that more than 1,700 people they've arrested are associated with Hamas. Palestinian officials say Israel's operations have killed 140 children in the West Bank and Jerusalem since October 7. And while Israel argues the raids are necessary to prevent terror attacks, the US State Department investigated IDF conduct in the West Bank and concluded 3 Israeli army battalions did commit gross human rights violations against Palestinian civilians prior to October 7. One of those units was Netzah Yehuda, a unit comprised mostly of ultra-Orthodox men. This video from 2019 allegedly shows a group of its soldiers abusing and beating 2 blindfolded Palestinian detainees. An Israeli court convicted an officer and 5 soldiers for their role in mistreating the 2 Palestinian men.
So this is Netzah Yehuda Center.
Yossi Levy's organization represents soldiers past and present from the Netzah Yehuda battalion who served in Judea and Samaria, which is how they refer to the West Bank.
Is religion and faith a big part of the battalion, the unit?
Yeah, of course.
There seems to have been a pattern of abuse, of sometimes alleged torture.
Netzah Yehuda battalion was in Judah and Samaria 7 years. It's too complicated to deal with civilian people in Judah and Samaria, to deal with thousands of operations, success operations, by the way. So sometimes you have bad events.
But bad events are sometimes deadly. Like one fateful night in 2022, when 78-year-old Palestinian-American Omar Assad died while in the custody of the Netzah Yehuda battalion. Mamdouh Abu telling us he and Assad were arrested at random as they drove through the village.
بس ليليتها فيش أي مشاكل فيش أي حدث أمني فيش احتكاك بيننا وبينهم.
Abu demonstrating the position Omar Assad was allegedly held in by the soldiers before he suffered from a heart attack and died.
أجا الجندي ضربني من هان اطلعت يمين شمال أنا شفت عمر على الأرض أنا قربت عليه حطيت يدي هان عليه وعرفته ناديت عليه ما حدا بيرد حطيت يدي هان أفحص نبض عنده ما في نبض.
The IDF said the soldiers violated a core value of protecting human life. 2 of the commanders involved were suspended from their positions for 2 years. And after the unit's misconduct came to light in 2022, Netzah Yehuda was redeployed out of the West Bank. But alleged abuses haven't ended with that unit. Just last month, soldiers from another battalion tied Mujahid Abadi, an unarmed and injured Palestinian, to the front of a jeep. The IDF said its troops had violated orders and standard operating procedures during a counter-terrorism operation.
We are seeing this kind of incidents in every unit that is sent to occupy the Palestinians.
Some Israelis, like Ori Givati, a former tank commander, are working to highlight alleged abuses by the IDF in the West Bank. He says the problem is the occupation itself.
When you occupy millions of people with the military, you go through a process of dehumanization of those that you're occupying.
Many Israelis will say, wait a minute, soldiers operating in the West Bank are constantly threatened by being attacked, and they're working in very, very difficult circumstances.
They are. I was there. I was working in these circumstances. There is definitely a threat to soldiers, to settlers, to Israelis on a daily basis. Occupying the Palestinians for almost 57 years now, is that helping our security? Militarily occupy them, invade their homes, disperse their protests, build settlements on their lands? Maybe that is something that is creating a lot of hostility, and we should change course.
I don't understand that they see me as an enemy. I'm not a security threat to them.
Do you think about leaving?
I'm here to resist peacefully the inequality, the injustice, and try to give hope.
Our thanks to Tom Sufi Burridge for that. Still much more to get to tonight. A look at Congress in recess, just how much our elected leaders were compared to everyone else by the numbers.
It was a regular day for 19-year-old Melissa Witt.
She went to meet her mom at a bowling church league, but she never makes it into the bowling alley. Something terrible had happened to her. Melissa was a good kid. She had big dreams for her life.
And then she disappears.
My gut knew this was not a young girl who just took off and ran away.
New information into the disappearance of Melissa Witt. Pools of blood were found by detectives.
We were sick to our stomachs.
I just love to have her back more than anything in the world.
It is a heart-wrenching day for the family of 19-year-old Melissa Witt.
Police found the body in the Ozark National Forest.
You had several suspects.
All these kinds of leads. Who could have done this?
You have a known serial killer in your area. Could he be involved? Find the evidence, find the DNA profile.
We had to find that person. Time was of the essence.
Every blood spot matters. Every piece of DNA matters. You're looking for that game-changing piece.
We're actually finding key evidence that could have slipped through the cracks.
One of our guys says, you're going to see this. And there's another one. What could be underneath these headstones? Her last hours on this earth were probably the most horrific a person can experience.
This beautiful young girl. Police will find out what happened.
At wit's end,
The Hunt for a Killer. Only on Hulu.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
They call him the Beauty Queen Killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to enjoy the company of a number of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer. Only on Hulu.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
Where is Susan?
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
Josh, did you kill your wife? I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer.
Now, stunning details.
He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
What will happen next? 2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Here's to Good Mornings in America.
Can you feel the love?
Oh, yeah.
Mornings that inspire, filled with hope, kindness, joyous surprises, and so much fun.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Start your day with Good Morning America's Ray of Sunshine, highlighting the best of America and helping
make dreams come true. Wow. I'm just so happy. This is so good.
Get ready to smile and put the good into your morning, America, because
You know what will make the morning better? A little ray of sunshine.
Reporting from the Normandy coast for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, I'm David Muir. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. The House of Representatives just canceled its session next week, which means they'll take summer break a week early, giving members more time in their home states. The work habits and schedules of our dutifully elected lawmakers is tonight's By the Numbers. House members have given themselves a 6-week summer recess this year. Nice work if you can get it, though many will still be very busy in their home states and on the campaign trail. The break means they will not return to session until September 9th, 1 week after Labor Day. By then, their backs will be up against a wall because September 30th is the next day for a possible government shutdown should voting on appropriation bills stall. The House was in session about 170 days this year, and for their labors, every senator and representative will earn an annual salary of $174,000. But get this, it's been 15 years since congressmen and women last received a raise. And we still have much more to get to here on Prime tonight. We sit down with the UN General Assembly president with just weeks until the new session, the major issues that we'll tackle this year, plus a man who pretty much needs no introduction, Shaquille O'Neal, how he's showing off a new set of skills as co-host of a new game show.
There is a price to be paid every time a survivor shares their story.
I think it's so hard to live every day feeling like, I must be broken.
I had just turned 14. And it was scary. It was scary. I will not be silenced.
This church has been alive for decades, and the next thing you know,
all hell breaks loose.
What is the 2x2 church?
It is a secret sect. It flies under the radar. If you don't agree with them, your salvation is at stake.
A stunning amount of information has come out about the misdeeds of some of the ministers. These same people preaching this message were the ones hiding horrific, horrific things.
Do you feel the church accepted abuse?
I wouldn't say accepted it as so much pretended it didn't exist.
Yep, that's him.
Yep.
Ready? Kira Phillips with ABC News. Did you sexually abuse Sherry Autry when she was 14 and you were 28?
No comment.
Do you believe your church protected you? Does your church protect sexual predators?
The powerful new Impact by Nightline.
So the church saw itself as judge and jury.
There's nothing pretty about hearing this.
Secrets of the 2x2 Church. Now streaming only on Hulu.
first thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
When you hear that bell, you know GMA's surprising someone somewhere with real unclaimed money they never knew was there.
This really is a big check.
And tomorrow morning, we're at it again.
Thank you. You did it. Show me the money.
On Good Morning America.
Now streaming on Hulu.
I'm a rock and roll star. I'm not a saint. I'm John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi, the new special, what you have not yet seen. John Bon Jovi with Michael Strahan. Now streaming on Hulu.
Welcome back. The UN is set to reconvene in September for the annual General Assembly. That's when the world comes together to try and confront the most urgent issues of our time, like war, famine, and climate change. We got a chance to sit down with the UN General Assembly President Dennis Francis for a wide-ranging discussion. And we got to do the interview in that famed General Assembly hall where so many world leaders have given iconic speeches.
The slogan is simple, the mission complex. Peace, dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. For one of the most powerful intergovernmental organizations in the world, it is their singular charge and purpose.
You see there's a wall of photographs there.
Yes.
These are all former presidents of the General Assembly of the United Nations from the inception of the UN.
78?
I'm the 78th.
Since 1945, the United Nations has tackled issues that transcend national boundaries. And in this room, global issues are debated and history is made.
You remember the first time you came up here?
Yes. And I thought, it looks very functional. But what is eye-catching from here is that you command the entire room.
Sure.
All 193 member states are represented here in this room.
How does it feel for you to be the head of this 193-member body?
It's an awesome feeling, but it's a more awesome responsibility.
We sit down with a man currently at the helm of it all, 78th President of the United Nations General Assembly, Dennis Francis.
Every president probably has had their own tumult. But
yes.
It just feels like on your watch,
yes,
it's especially busy. But do you feel that?
Yes, I do. Folks who have been here for quite some time say that they've never really seen it quite like this before. So many challenges emerging at the same time. Peace and stability is under increased duress. I think there are 55 conflict situations in the world. 55.
The UN Security Council approved a ceasefire plan that was backed by the United States. And in the meantime, we've seen no change from Hamas or Israel. Does the Security Council have sufficient power?
The question is power over whom? As critical as Hamas is as a player in the Middle East crisis, Hamas is not a state. The General Assembly, for example, had called long ago, in October of 2023, for a complete ceasefire in Gaza. We cannot police the world. The UN doesn't have a police force. The UN speaks and tries to change behavior through its positions and principles, its values. I would like to see, and I think the only one that is really credible, a two-state solution, where Israel and the Palestinians live side by side in peace and security. We've had wars in the Middle East between the two sides repeatedly. Are we going to continue this cycle of death, degradation, pain, suffering indefinitely?
UN-backed groups believe that maybe as many as 500,000 Palestinians are on the verge of famine. Do you think enough is being done to provide relief and aid to the Palestinians?
We as the UN have a concern that more can and ought to be done. We've watched the people of Palestine suffer in the most heartrending way. And the hope is that those who have the capacity and the power to make a difference in terms of the delivery of aid and support to those people will step up and do the honorable thing consistent with the requirements of international human rights and humanitarian law.
You mentioned that there are currently 55 conflicts going on globally.
Yes.
Of course, top of mind, the war in Ukraine, which is now in excess of 2 years. What do you see as the likely outcome there and the responsibility of the UN?
What really needs to happen is that the Russian forces need to pull back and remove themselves from the territory of Ukraine. That is the only credible outcome insofar as we at the United Nations are concerned.
Do you feel that Russia should have a permanent spot on the UN Security Council with veto power?
That's not a decision for me. That's a decision for the membership of the United Nations.
But if it were up to you?
It isn't up to me because the president does not have those powers.
I know you recently returned from Namibia and Africa in general, both extremely vulnerable to climate change.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you are concerned with regard to, the UN Secretary General has described this as a highway to hell, that this is a moment of truth.
I normally wear a pin, and for some reason today I forgot it. It's a 1.5 degree pin. That's the temperature at which we need to keep the increase in global temperature above pre-industrial levels. That is important because for a number of countries in the global south, particularly small island developing states, low-lying coastal areas, anything above that would be utterly cataclysmic.
Let's talk about South Sudan. There are reports that 25 million people are in need of aid. Famine is looming. 8 million people have been displaced from their homes. Do you feel that the world is paying enough attention to the atrocities going on there?
No.
And why do you think that is?
Insufficient attention has been paid to the conflicts in Africa, and in particular, what's going on in South Sudan. It is in a very desperate situation, and I would urge the international development community to pay greater attention and to be more forthcoming in the context of humanitarian aid, not just for South Sudan, but there are other places as well, for Somalia, Mali, other places, because human suffering is going on at an alarming rate. And those of us who have the capacity to do something about it need to act.
How do you feel that the outcome of America's presidential election in November will impact the UN?
The UN does not have a political preference for governments. So whomsoever occupies the Oval Office come November, I'm sure the UN will be in a position to interact with, discuss policy with, and come to decisions that are in the best interests of the world in general.
Do you have a message for the future president of the United States?
Let's join together and take some bold decisions to begin in earnest to repair some of the problems that are daunting us in the international society. Climate change, sea level rise, antimicrobial resistance, artificial intelligence, ensuring that we harvest the best benefits that can advance science and advance human society without necessarily importing the risks and threats that could, in fact, unravel the social fabric of society.
Our thanks to the UN president for the conversation. We are now on the eve of the opening ceremonies of the Paris Olympics, and there are signs pointing to Celine Dion's comeback, possibly with a special guest. Reports suggest she could be joined by Lady Gaga singing La Vie en Rose. Celine Dion stopped performing after being diagnosed with stiff person syndrome. She posted pictures of herself in Paris this week, saying she's happy to be back. Number 13 isn't bad luck at all for NBA great Shaquille O'Neal. He retired from basketball 13 years ago, and his showmanship lives on in ABC's new game show, Lucky 13, which he co-hosts with actress Gina Rodriguez. Our Stephanie Ramos sat down with the NBA Hall of Famer.
He is one of the greatest to have ever played the game of basketball. Shaquille O'Neal, the 7'1" powerhouse storming through the NBA. First on the Orlando Magic, the LA Lakers alongside Kobe Bryant, and the Miami Heat, winning 4 NBA championships along the way.
I want to say thank y'all for believing in us, and we're going to get one next year, too.
Now, Shaq is taking on a new type of game, a game show.
Are you feeling lucky?
Always.
Then let's play Lucky 13. Hit that.
Lucky 13, where each week contestants answer 13 true or false questions.
If you get all 13 correct, you win $1 million. So we filmed a lot of episodes, and we had a lot of interesting characters, and I wish I could tell you what happened, but you will definitely be excited.
Yeah.
Trust me.
It's tricky. It seems as though it could get pretty challenging.
I actually learned a lot.
You learned a lot while doing
I
it.
learned a lot because I was, playing along, and I was like, in my mind, I was saying the answer, and it wasn't the answer. I was like, I didn't know that.
Shaq's co-host, Gina Rodriguez, best known for her star turn in the hit show Jane the Virgin.
Don't forget this.
I know you're interviewing me here, but Gina was definitely a superstar. She did most of the work, and she did a fabulous job.
Any tips from or anything that you keep in mind from your basketball days to broadcasting that you brought with you to the game show set?
Yeah, just if you're going to ask people to watch you perform, just give them a good show.
Shaq's gift for showmanship has made him stand out on the court and off. He became one of the league's most bankable stars, landing a string of lucrative endorsements out of the gate, most famously Reebok.
Don't fake the funk on a nasty dunk.
This commercial airing during the 1993 Super Bowl. At the time, Shaq helped turn Reebok into a must-have shoe in the competitive sneaker wars.
I remember when we were a close number 2 behind Nike.
I was wearing Reeboks. I remember. I was in high school with the high tops, the white ones, the pink ones, the yellow ones.
Shaq played for 19 seasons in the NBA before retiring in 2011 at the age of 39.
This is my game room. Watch this fake.
He spoke about his decision to hang up his size 21 sneakers and focus full-time on his expansive and varied business empire, crediting Magic Johnson with giving him some priceless advice.
So Magic pulls me aside and says, it's good that you're the man, but you need to start owning things. So I called my mother, and she said, what you think you're talking about? You ain't gonna be able to play ball forever. Better have something to fall back on.
Now 52 years old, Shaq is reportedly worth more than $400 million and is the face of dozens of products from Icy Hot to Papa John's Pizza to JCPenney.
What advice would you give to young athletes right now who hope to develop their own personal brands like you are?
My advice to them would be save it. Don't touch it. I would take $100,000 for myself. I would give my mother $400,000. And I will put the $500,000 away. And every deal I got after that, I will put it away, put it away, put it away. Don't even look at it. Really teach myself financial literacy, learn what to do with that money, and then not touch it at all.
Where's Shaq?
Since 2011, Shaq's been the co-host of TNT's hit show Inside the NBA. This year, he returned to Reebok as president of their basketball division, hoping to up the brand's sneaker game.
And what motivated you to do that?
I wanted to be the guy to try to, get him back on top.
Reebok just signed WNBA rookie sensation Angel Reese, announcing it on Instagram. Shaq is a father of 6. 3 of his kids play basketball, but Shaq says his daughter, Miara, the youngest, is a standout.
She works out with my sons, and I think it's fair to say one day if she continues, Miara will probably be the best women's basketball player ever. She's that good.
She was featured alongside her dad on SportsCenter's Out of the Shadow.
I'm telling you, forget about me. Who cares? I did what I did. This ain't my time. This is your time.
Shaq now lives in Las Vegas.
You're now going one-on-one with Shaquille O'Neal,
where Lucky 13 is filmed.
And what's a regular day in the life for you?
I don't leave the house till 7 p.m. because I'm a vampire.
Okay.
And it's hot as hell out there. Then when the sun starts to go down, then I'll go eat dinner and hang out.
And when the sun goes down, DJ Diesel comes to life. Shaq often sharing his performances on Instagram.
I've been DJing since high school.
Did you put it on hold for a bit?
I got away from it, but then went to a festival and Tiesto was performing. There was 100,000 people out there. They gave me the same adrenaline rush that I had, like I compare it to being in a Game 7. I do clubs, I do parties, I do events. But remember, my motto is, if you're gonna ask people to pay to watch you perform, make sure you give them a great show.
He does it all. Our thanks to Stephanie Ramos for that, and to Shaq. Lucky 13 premiered last week and airs on ABC Thursday nights at 9 p.m., then streams on Hulu the next day. And before we end the show this hour, we do have some special news we'd like to share. Today, ABC News Live Prime became the first and only streaming newscast to ever be nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Live Newscast. It is a testament to you, our audience, because every day our #1 goal is to deliver stories and interviews that you may not see anywhere else, issues that matter to you and communities around the world. So for our producers, editors, bookers, directors, audio techs, all of our staff, the entire team here, I thank them for their tireless work. And to you, our viewers, my deepest gratitude for watching and hopefully appreciating the final product each and every night. We cannot thank you enough. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up the next hour, a passionate campaign rally for Kamala Harris, who makes her message clear to former President Donald Trump. Plus, Southwest Airlines breaks with tradition and will now start assigning seats.
It was a regular day for 19-year-old Melissa Witt.
Something terrible had happened to her.
You had several suspects.
All these kinds of leads.
A known serial killer in your area. Could he be involved?
We're actually finding key evidence that could have slipped through the cracks.
Her last hours on this earth were horrific.
This beautiful young girl. Police will find out what happened.
At Wit's End, the hunt for a killer, only on Hulu.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
Where is Susan? July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
Josh, did you kill your wife? I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of the killer.
Now, stunning details.
He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
What will happen next? 2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Betrayal is one of the hardest types of trauma to overcome.
This is her knight in shining armor.
Everything felt right. All of a sudden, I found this hidden folder. I opened it. I don't think I can say it. I'm sorry. It's shocking. My stomach just dropped. He just really didn't think I had it in me to do something. So I did.
Betrayal, A Father's Secret, the all-new season on Hulu.
All right, let the dogs out, please.
I don't think he's going to give you a hard time.
Even if he gives me a hard time, I'm the right guy.
You can handle it.
I want to make sure that we all learn together.
Calm, confident.
Calm, confident, calm, surrender.
Everything that he's taught has become a reality.
Yeah. We are so grateful and impressed.
I feel like crying. You changed our world.
It is a beautiful thing to see. As you rehabilitate the dog, you also rehabilitate you.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work. Hi. Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
David, good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning.
To catch you up with what happened overnight, police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about, the migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with the explosive wildfires in California, now forcing thousands to evacuate. Tonight, the Park Fire is burning out of control about 100 miles north of Sacramento. It's the biggest wildfire so far this year, and police say it was arson. The fire near Chico has already burned about 110 square miles. High winds have fueled the flames, and an unknown number of homes have already been destroyed. Take a look at this moment as one home explodes. Firefighters say it could not be saved. One witness says she saw a man set this car on fire and then roll it down a hill. Authorities have already made an arrest. The forecast currently does not favor the firefighters, and it could be a long night ahead. Kenny Whitworth leads us off near Chico.
Tonight, homes exploding in flames as firefighters north of Sacramento desperately battle a monster inferno. The Park Fire.
Not cut off yet. We're good, but the heat is insane.
Outside the town of Cohasset, terrifying scenes on the tiny town's main road.
I'm completely surrounded right now, so I'm actually gonna bone out of here and see if I can get ahead of this thing, because I'm gonna end up getting caught.
Multiple large homes and structures engulfed, gas tanks violently flaring as high as the trees. Nearly 4,000 fleeing their homes, but some were trapped, forced to shelter in place.
We've got approximately 100 vehicles that are sheltering at the radio towers on Cohasset Road with fire department personnel.
Flames breaking out Wednesday afternoon in a park outside of Chico, California, burning 4,000 acres an hour. By daybreak, scorching more than 70,000 acres and an unknown number of homes.
This fire grew very, very quickly. It got really big, really fast.
How hard is that on your firefighters when something goes like that?
It is. It presents a lot of different challenges.
The fire deliberately set, according to authorities who are aware of this video posted to TikTok by someone who says they saw it happen.
I watched the guy blow up his car and then put it in neutral and roll it down the hill and take off like nothing happened.
Police arresting a 42-year-old man and say this is the vehicle pushed down the embankment that started the fire.
Our thanks to Kana for that. Now to the race for the White House. Kamala Harris campaigned in Houston today, firing up educators there. She had a clear message for Donald Trump. Bring it on. ABC's Selena Wang has that story tonight.
Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris accepting the endorsement of the American Federation of Teachers in Houston, sounding her campaign's defining theme that this election is a fight for freedom.
In this moment, we are in a fight for our most fundamental freedoms. And to this room of leaders, I say, bring it on.
Harris sharpening her attacks on Donald Trump as an enemy of the middle class.
Donald Trump and his extreme allies want to take our nation back to failed trickle-down economic policies, back to union busting, back to tax breaks for billionaires.
Trump, who had counted on running against Joe Biden, now testing new attack lines on Harris, whose name he continues to mispronounce.
This November, the American people are going to tell her
No thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job.
Trump abandoning his pledge post-assassination attempt to unite the country.
When you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice. You really can't be. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Is that okay?
But tonight, new scrutiny for Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, and his 2021 comments disparaging Harris for not having children.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children.
Tonight, actress Jennifer Aniston sharing Vance's comments with their 44 million Instagram followers, writing, "I truly can't believe this is coming from a potential VP of the United States." And the former wife of Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, coming to her defense, noting that Harris co-parents their 2 children. Kirsten Emhoff writing, "For over 10 years since Cole and Ella were teenagers, Kamala has been a co-parent with Doug and I. She is loving, nurturing, fiercely protective, and always present. I love her blended family and am grateful to have her in it." Ella Emhoff adding, "How can you be childless when you have cutie pie kids like Cole and I? I love my 3 parents." And tonight, the Harris campaign highlighting Vance's statement 3 years ago, suggesting that parents should be given extra votes in elections.
When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality. If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country, maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice. Well, doesn't this mean that non-parents don't have as much of a voice as parents? Doesn't this mean that parents get a bigger say in how our democracy functions? Yes, absolutely.
Tonight, Trump standing by Vance.
He's for the worker. No, he's great. He's doing a great job, and he's been very well received.
As Harris says she's ready to meet Trump face-to-face, accepting the September 10th debate on ABC News that Trump and President Biden had already agreed to.
I'm ready, and I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race on a debate stage, and so I'm ready. Let's go.
Our thanks to Selena. Now to the high-stakes meeting today between President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It comes on the heels of the president's Oval Office address, where he told Americans he's committed to ending the war in Gaza and a return of the hostages. ABC's Mary Bruce reports from the White House.
Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris, the presumptive Democratic nominee, meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House.
Welcome, Mr. Prime Minister, and I look forward to our conversation. We have lots to talk about.
Face-to-face amid growing tension in recent weeks over Netanyahu's handling of the war, the administration urging the prime minister to accept the ceasefire deal on the table and bring the remaining hostages home. Moments ago, the vice president coming before cameras.
I've said it many times, but it bears repeating. Israel has a right to defend itself, and how it does so matters.
Earlier, the prime minister also sitting down with President Biden in the Oval Office.
I think we should get to it.
Nearly 10 months into this war, and with the relationship between the leaders strained, Netanyahu praising Biden for his support.
So from a proud Jewish Zionist to a proud Irish-American Zionist, I want to thank you for 50 years of public service and 50 years of support for the State of Israel.
The White House tonight says the ceasefire deal is closable. President Biden making it a top priority of his remaining months in office.
And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war.
It's been 2 months since the president shared publicly the details of the 3-part proposal to bring home the hostages and end the war. Today's meetings coming as overnight Israeli forces recovered from Gaza the bodies of 5 hostages killed in the October 7th attack. Also at the White House today, the families of Americans being held hostage, sitting down with the president and prime minister.
We met today.
Jonathan Dekelhen, whose son, 35-year-old Sagi, is still being held by Hamas, describing their discussion as productive and honest.
We got absolute commitment from the Biden administration and from Prime Minister Netanyahu that they understand the urgency of this moment now, to waste no time and to complete this deal, as it currently stands, with as little change as humanly possible.
Now to the dramatic images off the coast of Alaska. For the first time, U.S. and Canadian fighter jets intercepted both Russian and Chinese bombers flying together. The incident is raising concerns about the growing cooperation between these two countries. Here's our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz.
It was a bold, provocative, and unprecedented move, clearly meant to send a message to America. For the first time ever, Russia and China conducting joint patrol exercises in international airspace off the coast of Alaska and providing these videos to prove it. Launching in darkness from the same Russian base, 2 Chinese and 2 Russian unarmed but nuclear-capable strategic bombers aerially refueling over the Pacific as the U.S. military tracked them all the way. An array of armed American and Canadian fighter jets scrambling and then intercepting the bombers as they came within 200 miles of Alaska. This is the view from the U.S. aircraft provided by the Pentagon. This is the view from the Russian cockpit of the U.S. fighter jets and also the Chinese bombers.
It's the first time that we've seen these two countries fly together like that. They're always testing us, and that's no surprise to any of us.
The U.S. jets followed the Chinese and Russian aircraft for nearly an hour before the bombers returned to their bases.
Martha Raddatz reporting now to new details on a Russian suspect under arrest for an alleged plot to disrupt the Olympic Summer Games in Paris. A plot authorities say they foiled on the eve of the opening ceremony. James Longman reports.
On the eve of the opening ceremony, authorities tonight say they've foiled an alleged Russian plot to disrupt the Summer Games in Paris. A Cordon Bleu-trained chef is reportedly under arrest for trying to provoke hostilities in France. Though French officials haven't identified the suspect, a joint investigation by France's Le Monde, Germany's Der Spiegel, and the Russia-focused The Insider identified him as 40-year-old Kirill Gryazhnov.
He is an FSB officer, which is a Russian intelligence officer who spent 14 years living in France, posing as a chef. He cooked at Michelin star restaurants.
And tonight, facing international outcry over the war in Gaza, Israel accusing Iran of trying to intimidate Israel's Olympic team. They claim 15 athletes received death threats by email and phone, with imagery echoing the horrific 1972 attack at the Munich Games. Here in Paris, security on high alert.
There is a massive security operation here in Paris. Thousands of these barriers line these streets. They create a maze of checkpoints around some of the world's most famous landmarks. Some 75,000 police, soldiers and guards have been drafted in. This is the largest mobilization in peacetime in this country. 300,000 people have tickets for the opening ceremony. A no-fly zone of more than 90 miles will span all around Paris. France is not taking any chances. Lindsay?
James, thank you. California Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order today to dismantle homeless encampments. The crackdown comes a month after the Supreme Court ruling that allowed cities to enforce bans on sleeping outside. Newsom called on state leaders to humanely remove encampments from public spaces. California has an estimated 180,000 homeless people, 1/3 of the U.S. total. Southwest Airlines is ending a 53-year tradition, eliminating its open seat policy. Southwest said the decision comes after negative customer feedback, with 80% of their passengers saying they were unhappy with open seating. The company will roll out assigned and premium seating for flights beginning next year, which also allows the company to charge some passengers more for their tickets. And we still have much more to get to. Emmy Award-winning actor and comedian David Cross and his stand-up tour, The End of the Beginning of the End, ready to hit the road. But next, sharks off the Atlantic coast test positive for cocaine.
Hey, good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Money. Are you ready? They are ready.
Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
It's always a good time. That's what the show's about.
That's good.
Really good. Very good.
Coming in hot. Jimmy, coming in hot.
It's far from elementary.
Good morning, America. I'm not going to try to strut like Michael or anything.
I have known George a long, long time.
Have you ever gotten him to dance?
Look at that face.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I am here and so happy. I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
That tells you something when Snoop Dogg's in. Michael, George, Lara, Ginger.
There was a specific moment during our wedding. I looked at Jason and I realized this was real. This was our family.
This is her knight in shining armor.
Everything felt right. All of a sudden, I found this hidden folder. I opened it, and I don't think I can say it. I'm sorry.
She put her hand to her mouth and, like, gasped.
Jason would kill me before he would let me tell anyone this part of him. He's in so much freaking trouble.
I remember just feeling like, what the hell? That was my dad. What is going on?
That's when that fire inside of me shifted to like a flame. I was like, it's on.
Betrayal is one of the hardest types of trauma to overcome.
He didn't think I had it in me to do something. So I did.
Betrayal, a father's secret. The all-new season, only on Hulu.
On the roof of Notre Dame in Paris, I'm James Longman. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Tonight, the Philippines is reeling from heavy flooding in its capital city, Manila. Continuous rains were triggered by a typhoon, leading to flooding that paralyzed the city and other parts of the country. It also left behind not only debris, but also a thick layer of mud on roads and inside homes that many are still struggling to remove from their properties. Scientists discover cocaine in an unlikely place inside of sharks. Samples of blood, muscles, and liver tissue from Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks found high concentrations of the drug. It's thought to have come from Rio de Janeiro's sewage discharges, as well as runoff from illegal laboratories that produce it. Researchers now will study the drug's effect on sharks' health and behavior and try to determine what other species might be testing positive for cocaine. And a duck race for a good cause in London. Take a look at this. Thousands of rubber ducks floated down a canal this afternoon in central London. The event was designed to raise money for a charity supporting babies and children in intensive care. Writer, performer, and comedian David Cross isn't leaving much time to relax this summer. The Emmy Award winner and two-time Grammy nominee is about to embark on a new cross-country tour. David Cross, the end of the beginning of the end. And his stand-up special, Worst Daddy in the World, can now be seen on YouTube.
But I would take a bullet for that kid. Instinctively, I would take a bullet for her. I would not take a bullet for my wife. No, absolutely not, no.
And if that's not enough, David Cross for you. He's also starring in the Netflix series The Umbrella Academy. The fourth and final season drops August 8th. David, kind enough to join us here in studio. Big question for you. Okay, the tour is called The End of the Beginning of the End.
Yep.
The end of what exactly?
That's open to interpretation. I know what it means to me.
What does it mean to you?
I'm not telling.
Oh, what?
Maybe it'll come out
in the tour. We gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, think about it. It could be both positive or negative. It's the end of the beginning of the end.
Could be positive, I guess. But I tend to be more skeptical.
Yeah, sure.
More cynical, I
understand.
guess. Okay, so how do you manage to stay funny in a world that has increasingly gotten more focused on being politically correct?
Well, I mean, that was never my issue. I'm out there to doing stuff regardless of how. I don't care what the audience thinks. I mean, I care, of course. I want to put on a good show and be a professional and all that, of course. But if somebody's offended, that doesn't bother me. The only thing is if I can't defend my jokes that may seem kind of mean and I don't like to punch down, then I lose the joke. But I can count on one hand the things that were upsetting where I was like, yeah, I see, and stop doing it.
You never were feared that you were going to be canceled or anything. All right, let's talk about The Umbrella Academy on Netflix. Just got a little funnier. You're added now to the cast. It's fourth and final season. What can we expect from your character?
Well, I can't say too much, but I will say he starts off one way, and keep an eye on that. And
See, you
where
can't
it goes.
tell us too much. Can't tell us what the end of the beginning of the end is, or
I
can't
can,
tell us
but I refuse to.
Okay, all right. Arrested Development. Let's try there. Now 20 years old.
Yeah.
It's managed to stay really relevant, still very funny. What do you think gives a certain show staying power?
As far as being able to the rewatchability of it, I mean, it's such a dense, clever show that you will often, as I myself too, will catch things that I didn't catch the first time, you know, and there are jokes that don't pay off for 4, 5, 6 episodes, and then you go back and go, oh, that's why he said that thing, and it's just such a dense, cleverly constructed show with a great cast. I mean, that cast is phenomenal, you know, and the writing. You get something new every time, I guess.
What do you prefer, to do the actual shows or when you're doing stand-up right in front of the audience? I know you have about 50 dates coming up.
I mean, both. They're both two different things. I couldn't, the one that I couldn't never do again, couldn't ever do again would be stand-up. I will always have a desire, a need, an urge to do stand-up. And while I would miss doing fun shows, I could, and it wouldn't affect me, you know.
David Cross, so appreciate you coming by.
Sure.
Thank you very much for that. We want to let our viewers know tickets are now on sale for his tour, The End of the Beginning of the End, with dates from September all the way through December. And still to come, our weekly TikTok segment. This week, we spotlight the comedian making a name for herself with her impressions of Vice President Kamala Harris.
If you were coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who is in the Brat Pack. You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because it was time that we clear the air on a couple of things.
I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster.
Why did we take it as an offense?
We're
afraid we were brats, you know.
Andrew?
I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland.
From Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives. The magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky,
Minneapolis,
Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
We turn now to our weekly segment, TikTok, where we take a closer look at the story behind the sensation. Comedian and writer Allison Reese is making a name for herself online, not as a political insider, but through her impersonation of Vice President Kamala Harris. With President Biden ending his presidential re-election campaign and endorsing Harris as the Democratic nominee, Allison's impersonations are front and center right at the top of the ticket. Let's take a look.
My fellow Americans, we did it, Joe. I am the perfect nominee for the 2024 presidential election. First off, I'm hilarious. Second off, I laugh. People be like, she laughed too much. Have you ever seen Donald Trump laugh?
Allison Reese joins us now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So your account gained an additional 10,000 followers with the news of VP Harris's endorsement for president. Comments like, you're about to be busy, you got promoted, you're swarming your TikTok. How are you keeping up with all the buzz?
Oh, God, I don't know if I am. I am just trying to stay afloat and keep in the know of all that's going on in the news and, yeah, enjoying this moment for what it is, so...
You first brought your impersonation of VP Harris to life during an SNL audition back in 2019, yes. The same year Harris first saw the Democratic nomination for president. What drew you to her in particular?
Her in particular, I've always done voices. I've always done impersonations. And this was the first time in the political spectrum that there was somebody who I could impersonate who looked like me and that I could, nail her voice. And I was like, as a half Black woman, I have to like doing voices is my whole thing. So yeah, that's probably what drew me to her at first.
And what do you do when you're actually trying to impersonate someone, especially someone who is known so well?
I think the first thing that I kind of glom onto is their mannerisms and their cadence. It feels more of like kind of a dance you can kind of get into a rhythm of, so to speak. And then it's a matter of like really listening to their voice and nailing, where it falls, if it's higher, if it's lower, if it has, some nasally aspects or a little bit of a vocal fry, which this Kamala Harris impression I do definitely has both of those. So.
You're also a television writer and host of the podcast, The NK Hour. How does creating comedic content on TikTok compare?
Comparing to podcasts, creating content on TikTok feels a lot more immediate, right? You get that feedback instantaneously. It's, I would say, closer to performing live because you get that feedback right away as opposed to a podcast. You make it, you produce it, you edit it, you put it out, and then you kind of got to wait and see. Whereas in the TikTok sphere, people are going to tell you right away if they like it, if they don't like it, what they're thinking.
All right. Before we go, can we ask you to give us an impersonation here right on the spot?
Sure. Of Kamala?
Let's do it.
I'm assuming? Okay. My fellow Americans. Okay. It's time. It's Brat Summer. And it's a Kamala nomenon.
Kamala nomenon. Allison, we thank you so much for joining us. You can check Allison out on TikTok at Alien Reese for Kamala Harris 2.0 and more as the political season continues. And that is our show for tonight. I'm Linsey Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and of course on abcnews.com.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television. When Green Day last took over GMA in the park, it was epic. And now get ready because Green Day is back live. The incredible summer morning concert tomorrow on GMA. Sponsored by Wayfair.
They call him the Beauty Queen Killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to enjoy the company of a number of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer. Only on Hulu.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead! Tag on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer. It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work. Hi. Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Good to meet you. Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
I'm Janae Norman, reporting live on the return of panda diplomacy here in the Sichuan province of China. You're watching ABC News Live.
This is Nightline.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good to see you.
From rock star pastor to regular parishioner, Carl Lindsey's road to redemption is steep, long, and far from over. And from boyhood to manhood, Sunday service, both sacred and sacred.
Y'all don't understand what I'm saying.
Today, it's his soul in need of salvation.
There's that saying, that power and money and prestige don't change who you are, it reveals who you are.
It's true. Money and influence revealed that I was a broken guy that had some serious flaws that I could function with for a long time until you couldn't.
Correct your course and keep you closer to the shepherd.
For a decade, he espoused and shouted salvation to others.
Better than that if you got any reason to be thankful tonight.
Thousands at a time. He was lead pastor of Hillsong NYC.
This is our God. Left to the right. Let's sing it out tonight. Spirit lead me.
Not just one of the most famous megachurches in America, Hillsong the brand was one of the fastest growing, hippest, high-energy religious movements on earth. A diverse and youthful congregation and celebrity drip like jewelry. Followers included actress Vanessa Hudgens, basketball star Kevin Durant, and pop star Justin Bieber.
I just want to love Carl more.
You're doing a good job of that.
Carl Lynch was all that. Until he wasn't. When his extramarital affairs made headlines, he was fired in 2020. Done.
A celebrity pastor admitted cheating on his wife.
Carl Lentz was a prominent pastor at Hillsong Church until he was fired.
And now the mega popular church announcing an investigation into its New York City branch.
The church itself embroiled in several controversies as well. And even to this day, Carl Lentz is still loathed by many online.
How did you let it fall apart?
My whole life.
Yeah. Why couldn't you keep it in your pants to keep it in control?
Well, that wasn't the primary thing that got me in trouble. It wasn't a sexual thing. It's not like I was out, looking to have sex or looking to commit adultery. I had deep brokenness that manifests itself in a lot of different ways.
Do you want to change?
I'm changing.
Tonight, Carl Lentz like you've never seen him before.
And the truth is, I was digging my own grave.
The depths of his demons.
A recovering sex addict.
I say recovering drug addict, recovering sex addict, sure.
His wife Laura is sharing her darkest moment.
What was the lowest point for you?
I think the lowest point was, can I talk about that?
And the reasons she decided to stay. In the mid-2010s, Carl's public profile reached its peak, extending all the way to Hollywood, baptizing Justin Bieber.
There was a night where he wanted to renew his faith and he wanted to get baptized again. One of the most powerful things I've been a part of.
Pastor Lentz popping up on talk shows like The View.
You really don't look like any pastor that I've ever seen.
Interviews with Oprah.
I don't believe it's some ambiguous, like the wind blew, and you're like, oh, the Holy Spirit. I believe that there's like a...
It's a thing. It's a power. It's a force.
It's God moving in your life.
Yeah.
How did it hit you being known as a celebrity preacher?
You just shrug your shoulders. I mean, it is what it is. You can't control what people call you. And
you can't control it, but did you play into it? Did you kind of hype it up a little bit with the muscle shirts and the torn jeans and the tattoos and the Brooklyn haircuts?
I feel like that's just who I was.
It's a normal, cool vibe when we get to just slow down. We celebrate many different religions freely.
I've caught up with him many times over the past decade, both at his church and at his home. As a Christian living in New York, I sometimes attended Hillsong when Carl was pastor.
I want to look back to the first interview you and I did in 2014. So take a look.
You can't fake who you are. You are who you are. So if everybody on our...
Who are you?
I love people.
Tell me what's up.
I really want to have, the same heart for people that Jesus did, which is to not see what everybody else saw, but try to dig a little bit deeper. I feel like that's how I was reached.
Was it fake?
No, I'm not that good. That's crazy to look at that now.
What do you think about that guy now?
Man, I just was looking at myself going, I have no idea what's coming down that highway. I think I was scared even there. I think I see it in my eyes there, just probably overwhelmed.
So what I hear you say is, at that time, your life maybe was already getting messy in private.
Yeah, for sure.
Behind closed doors, Carl Lentz was spiraling.
Drugs?
Yep.
Alcohol?
No. No, never had a drinking issue. I was prescribed a drug to help with ADHD that I used most of my adult life. And towards the end of my time in New York, I started to abuse it really badly.
How many affairs were there?
I'm definitely not going to get into numbers. I feel like it was more than one and more that I got, caught for. But Laura's been through too much. My kids have been through too much, and I don't feel like it helps anything. But it definitely was not an isolated incident.
Are you a sex addict?
I'm a guy that was involved in infidelity. I definitely have addiction issues almost across the board. Sex addiction is never about sex. It's about trauma, and it's about what trauma produces, and sometimes it manifests itself in a sexual situation.
In November 2020, Hillsong informing staff and members they'd fired Carl after learning the extent of his indiscretions, citing several reasons, including moral failures. Lynch writing online he was unfaithful in my marriage.
When did Laura find out? How did she find out?
2 of my staff members came to get me to talk to me about what they wanted to talk to me about, which was, we found some things and we want to ask you about it. I need to tell Laura. Drove over to the church office and sat there and told her the truth, which still wasn't the whole truth. And that was the day it started to kind of unravel.
Do you remember what you said to her?
I said, I've been unfaithful, and it's gonna come out, and I'm sorry. The sounds, the tears in that moment were the most painful thing in my memory. But nobody deserves that, So I'm forever sad about that.
I'm struck by how when you said it to her, you gave her the sanitized description of it.
Yeah. Well, when you are lying and you get caught, your first instinct is, how much do I need to tell to make this work?
Robert Pickton, one of the worst serial killers in history.
These missing and murdered women have never been found. My name is Sasha Reed. I've established one of the world's largest databases on serial killers. I know what makes them tick.
I'll get you.
I've assembled a team of women to get these families answers. They're hunting people who are in the margins.
I feel like there's no justice.
I want him charged with my daughter's murder.
Freeform's Sasha Reed and the Midnight Order. New episodes Wednesdays. Stream on Hulu.
There is a price to be paid every time a survivor shares their story. I will not be silenced.
Do you feel the church accepted abuse?
I wouldn't say accepted it as so much pretended it didn't exist.
Yep, that's him.
Yep.
Ready? Kira Phillips with ABC News. Does your church protect sexual predators?
The powerful new Impact by Nightline. Secrets of the 2x2 Church.
There's nothing pretty about hearing this.
Now streaming on Hulu.
Betrayal is one of the hardest types of trauma to overcome.
This is her knight in shining armor.
Everything felt right. All of a sudden, I found this hidden folder. I opened it. I don't think I can say it. I'm sorry. It's shocking. My stomach just dropped. He just really didn't think I had it in me to do something. So I did.
Betrayal, A Father's Secret, the all-new season on Hulu.
Hi, I'm Andy.
And I'm Sabrina.
And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there.
And you know what we love?
Really love?
Pop culture.
So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms,
wherever you get your podcasts.
Nightline, the stories that shape your world, that shape your life. Dramatic, stunning, empowering, jaw-dropping. The most powerful stories of our time. Nightline, on right after Kimmel and streaming on Hulu.
My name's Morgan Guillory. I'm your basic single mother of 3, a cleaning lady with an IQ of 160. So now, when the cops are in a jam, they have to ask me for help.
What is she supposed to do?
Spot the things my detectives miss. Isn't that our cleaning lady?
I see you brought your child with you.
She is just spectating. Not going to be able to help you solve the time of death or anything like that.
All right, let the dogs out, please.
I don't think he's going to give you a hard time.
Even if he gives me a hard time, I'm the right guy. I want to make sure that we all learn together.
Calm, confident.
Calm, confident, calm, surrender.
Everything that he's taught has become a reality.
Yeah.
We are so grateful and impressed. I feel like crying. You changed our world.
It is a beautiful thing to see. As you rehabilitate the dog, you also rehabilitate you.
I can't believe Ava had that dress on the other day.
I know. Look at these, Char. Look at your mother.
You had that on the other day.
Oh my gosh, you're so small.
I'm also 23.
Yeah, right?
Carl and Laura Lentz's love story began 2 decades ago in Australia, in their early 20s.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's cute, right?
So good.
It was a fun wedding.
He claims that the first time he saw you, he called his mama and said he was going to marry you.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know he might be the one?
It took a bit longer than that. We dated, and then he'd come back from a trip to America, and he just seemed different. And probably 3 weeks in, we said we loved each other.
Carl was in Bible college at Hillsong. Laura, a born and bred Aussie, had grown up in the church. After marrying, they quickly welcomed 3 children and devoted their lives to expanding Hillsong, moving to America.
Describe her in a sentence, if you would.
I would say Laura Lentz is consistent, faithful, and steady.
Describe him.
Strong, visionary, kind, and loyal is what I would say the most. He's very loyal.
Good word, loyal. Tell me about that day when your world changed.
I definitely went straight into shock, but I was like, it was a big shaking for me, because I had no idea.
No idea?
No idea.
None whatsoever.
When he said the words that he said, I just broke down. It felt like just wave after wave, just being hit.
Which emotion was first, strongest?
Confused, and then sad, broken, shattered. Those would be my words.
So what was the lowest point for you?
The call with the staff. I had to hear some things that I hadn't heard or didn't know, and that was probably like, what the, like I just couldn't take anymore, you know? And that's the thing with betrayal. The trauma of that is very, very hard to understand unless you're in it and have experienced it. I would look at other people and be like, I would never stay if this happened to me. But it's very different when you're in it.
How close did you come?
One of my betrayal therapists, she asked me, do I have a lawyer Do you have your own bank accounts? All of that. So I set up all of that. I had to look after myself and my kids.
With most of her family and friends a world away in Australia, Laura felt alone, untethered.
I was angry at God for a really long time. I had dedicated my whole life to other people, to the church, to my family, to my husband, to everything. You know, I felt lost. I had no voice. I didn't know what I felt. My whole life had been like that. Like, I'm easygoing, nothing really bothers me. Whatever you want to do, that's fine. That was how I lived. I didn't know how to say what I needed. And that takes work even today for me.
As for Carl,
there isn't a delicate way to put this. Did you ever think about hurting yourself?
Yes, I did. I did. I just felt like there's no way I'm going to be able to spare my family humiliation. And I definitely had some dark days where I mean, they call it suicidal ideation.
Carl says he went to rehab, addressed his mental health, and for the first time faced a childhood trauma head on. He had been molested as a boy.
The molestation that happened to me when I was a little boy, about 5 or 6 years old, altered my brain chemistry, altered my habits, altered my view of sex. And from that age till as long as I can remember, I had habits of secrecy and hiding and high risk-taking that I could never explain.
Carl's revelation gave Laura reason, resolution, not to surrender, but to fight.
Why'd you stay?
I stayed because, thank you. Sorry. I stayed because I loved him. We're on the phone with a therapist, and she was asking him some questions about his childhood and some of that pain. And he started to talk and try to go through what happened, and he got to a point where he just stopped, and his whole body started convulsing. He just sobbed. And I realized then that there was so much more brokenness than I had known.
So what I hear you say in part is that in that moment, you thought that maybe I may not be married to a bad man, he may just be a broken man.
Yes, very broken.
The hurt nor the headlines were over. A woman who worked for the family alleging sexual abuse and manipulation by Carl, something he denies.
With all that is within me, I say that that account is wrong, it's not true.
In 2022, the Christian Post obtained an internal review of Hillsong conducted by an outside firm. The review included interviews with staffers who claim Carl abused his power.
There have also been headlines about former members of your staff and volunteers claiming you treated them in such a way that allegedly caused some of them to suffer mental illness and have low self-esteem.
I don't know those people. It's hard for me to speak to those situations. If I were to sit down and talk to these people, and if my actions, if my leadership hurt them in any way, I'd love to apologize for it.
They addressed their departure from the church in the FX documentary, The Secrets of Hillsong. Carl's indiscretions, the tip of a larger iceberg that threatened the controversial church to this day.
You know, church can be a phenomenal blessing in people's lives, or it can be a sledgehammer of pain.
Now far from the spotlight, they're rebuilding and restoring their lives along the Arkansas River in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
We needed to be in a place where we could all grow and stay on a really consistent, sober, calm, patient pace.
So I would say our marriage has gone through a couple stages, and the one we're in now, we call it our second marriage, because I'm not the same person. She's not the same person.
There's no secrets, there's no anything hidden.
You trust him again?
Yeah.
What do you say to those people who may decide, I'm done with this guy. I can't trust this guy. What say you?
I say that's okay. I think everyone has to do what is right for them. So I don't judge anyone on their own journey and how they feel about him, about us, about our story. I think sometimes you might have to go through some really dark, deep days or seasons or chapters.
Yeah.
And you can either flick that page and start again, or you just shut the book, you know? And I think we chose to flick the page and see what's next.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work.
Hi.
Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Good to meet you.
Ismail?
David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast. Whenever news breaks,
We are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine. Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In rolling forth, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland, let's go.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines. From southern Israel.
Outside the Gaza Strip.
In Beirut.
From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news. Friday night.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished. Josh, did you kill your wife? I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill raced up my spine. I just shook the hand of the killer.
2020, Friday night on ABC. With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
Reporting from Santa Fe, New Mexico, I'm Linsey Davis. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
And finally tonight, Carl Lentz has started a podcast, Lights On. He and his wife, Laura, hope their ongoing journey can help others. For them, their faith and mental health care are vital. As a therapist once told me, we're all having a hard time. We all could use a little coaching, help, accountability, and grace.
Hi, I'm Andy. And I'm Sabrina. And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there. And you know what we love? Really love? Pop culture. So what happens when being obsessed with pop culture collides with being a mom? You get us. So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms, wherever you get your podcasts.
It was called the world's first art amusement park back in 1987, forgotten and locked away, until it was rescued by a major hip-hop superstar, a resurrection taking art lovers on a whimsical ride all over again.
Multi-sensory, immersive art and amusement experience.
Luna Luna, conceived by Austrian showman Andre Heller, opened on fairgrounds in Hamburg, Germany, where visitors flocked to his carnival, children mounting on carousels, families admiring the paintings that decorated the rides.
When it was originally shown in Hamburg, it was an amusement park ride that had art. And now I think we get to kind of focus on the art and see the amusement in it.
Artwork cultivated by some of the great modern artists of our time. A Ferris wheel designed by graffiti artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. A carousel featuring pop artist Keith Haring's iconic figures. A swing ride spray painted by California street artist Kenny Scharf. But 6 weeks later, the amusement park vanished.
And it was meant to go on tour, but as some of the biggest dreams do, you know, it got caught up in I'm sure, logistics and contracts and things, just moving it around and going on such a, you know, large-scale tour. This was stored for 35 years after that. It did not go on tour.
Locked up and stored away in shipping containers for nearly 4 decades.
What was your initial reaction when you first saw some of the Luna Luna pieces?
It blew my mind. You like walked into the old studio warehouse and you were just kind of, I'm sure it must feel like how people feel walking into this space. It's unexpected and not something you regularly face.
Autumn Beck is the collection manager for Luna Luna Forgotten Fantasy, helping revitalize these priceless works of art.
They are priceless because there's not another one that exists. These are absolutely unique, one-of-a-kind pieces with often, you know, the hand of an artist that's no longer here.
This Los Angeles studio is now Luna Luna's new fairgrounds. Even the rides are back, but only for guests to admire, not ride. And it's thanks to that superstar, Drake. The influential hip-hop artist helped get these works of art out of these shipping containers.
There were no instructions. So we had a team of about 10 people who thoroughly looked at plans, who looked at the photography that I was telling you about and some of these like archival photographs. Look through, the plans are all in German, so like identified parts and just, they were professionals. They piece by piece just put everything together and got it working well.
Drake's entertainment firm, Dream Crew, acquiring Luna Luna, sight unseen, dusting off the iconic collection more than 35 years after it was forgotten.
How influential do you find Drake in all of this?
Well, I mean, I don't think that we would be able to do this without Dream Crew. Putting on a production like this is no small feat. And I think that Drake, and along with all the other partners, are involved in the arts and culture, of which this stands in the center of that. So a huge influence in the sense of like, let's accomplish something amazing.
Restorers work to put the pieces literally back together using forensic clues and archival images, breathing life back to these modern masterpieces like Basquiat's Ferris wheel.
He gives like all these like clues and kind of, it's like a poetry of a piece.
And Herring's Carousel.
I love that piece. I mean, that is a jewel, a gem of a piece, too. It's so well preserved. It's so glorious. And the banners that go with it, kind of looking at them, too, as like a whole of pop culture at that time.
Even a Salvador Dali, named Dali Dome, incorporates a geodesic dome with a mirrored interior. These pieces of art are what brought in Sarah and her friends.
Art is creativity, and no matter the spectrum of art that you're on, you all are inspired by some sort of painting or some sort of person from whatever age.
Igniting a renaissance in modern art, a genre with devoted fans.
I love seeing all ages here and hoping that some people who may not have known these artists are being introduced to them and opening up for a whole new generation. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Closing the gap on a generation and ensuring art is only a right away.
For you as a lover of arts, why do you find it so important that any single person can have access to art and learn about it?
Art, music, all of that is just the juice that makes life worth living. I mean, we can't get lost in Excel spreadsheets all the time, so let's go do some fun things. Creativity is what it takes to do anything, so I think we should give it what it deserves. And making it more accessible, I think, just gives more people the opportunity to find that spark themselves.
Robert Pickton, one of the worst serial killers in history.
These missing and murdered women have never been found. My name is Sasha Reed. I've established one of the world's largest databases on serial killers. I know what makes them tick.
I'll get ya. I'll get ya.
I've assembled a team of women to get these families answers. They're hunting people who are in the margins.
I feel like there's no justice.
I want him charged with my daughter's murder.
Freeform's Sasha Reed and the Midnight Order. New episodes Wednesdays. Stream on Hulu.
It was a regular day for 19-year-old Melissa Witt.
Something terrible had happened to her.
We had several suspects.
All these kinds of leads.
A known serial killer in your area. Could he be involved?
We're actually finding key evidence that could have slipped through the cracks.
Her last hours on this earth were horrific.
This beautiful young girl. Police will find out what happened.
At Wit's End, the hunt for a killer, only on Hulu.
Hi, I'm Andy. And I'm Sabrina. And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there. And you know what we love? Really love? Pop culture. So what happens when being obsessed with pop culture collides with being a mom? You get us. So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms, wherever you get your podcasts.
My name's Morgan Guillory. I am